Thanks for tuning back in to The Bridge. Next up, who are the Bilderberg Group? Enjoy. The Bilderberg Group meets annually every year in a different location. The meetings are invite only, and only a select few elites from different parts of the country, such as big CEOs, big named officials, or other world leaders, host these meetings. To name some of these people who have attended the meetings, we have Bill Gates, Senator Lindsey Graham, Bill and Hillary Clinton, heads of CIA, and George Soros. So you're probably wondering why all these elites are gathered together and meeting, and what's their reasoning behind it. As the details of the meetings are disclosed to members only, the press has actually been detained in efforts trying to gain access, gain information from these meetings. There's been many cases where press go to cover these meetings. There's armed guards outside of the buildings, and they don't allow citizens to enter, or even people who have scheduled reservations at the hotel. So what happens is there's a confrontation between officers, police officers, or the security detail for the Bilderberg Group and the reporters. Like I said, they have been detained. So what we're seeing here is elected officials, other world leaders, CEOs, people with a lot of wealth gathered together at a hotel annually every year to discuss meetings. And this is very similar to the world government meetings held in Dubai that just actually happened, I believe, in February of 2019. There's a link down below in the article. You can go check that one out. It really just boggles the mind of what they could be discussing. Anyway, so there is a rule within the group itself, as they have the ability, if they choose to do so, to share information that was detailed in the meetings. The only exception is the informant, you could say, who's sharing information from the Bilderberg Group meetings. They cannot name individuals who first stated the idea. So no names of people or attendees that shared information can be released, but the information itself can be released if someone chooses to do so. The group's mission statement, back when it was first established, 1954, was to promote Atlanticism. And Atlanticism is basically a movement between the United States and Europe to promote prosperity and influence. So basically, during this time, the Cold War was going on, and many countries were pledging allegiance to either pro-Western ideology or that of the Soviet, which was communism. So I'm going to read you a quote from a YouTuber called Now This World, who's done a lot of research into this topic. Quote, "The original intention of the Bilderberg Group was to join all the westernized countries in Europe with the hyper-Western United States. Think of the European Union, but the United States and Europe instead." So some have chosen to interpret that as a union between the United States and Europe, just how the European has their own little union. Well, this is a form of American European Union. Again, nearly all the details of the meetings, they're never released public unless someone chooses to leak information. So we'd have no idea the details of what they're discussing. But Judicial Watch has actually requested Freedom of Information Acts from top-level government agencies, and after being denied a ton of times, they finally were able to gain information about details and specifics that were talked about and discussed within the meetings. And I'm going to quickly go over those with you guys, the facts. So here they are. Part of the information Judicial Watch uncovered had to do with why the meetings were held secret and why little information was released to the public. I'm going to read you a quote from the findings. Quote, "While a vision is appealing, working on the infrastructure might yield more benefit and bring more people on board. Parentheses, evolution by stealth." End quote. That quote I just read you was taken directly from one of the meetings. Evolution by stealth is key, as it explains the whole reason why the group remains secret. They have a plan, they have an agenda, they have policies they're pushing, whether publicly known or not. This quote, evolution by stealth, shows that whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to do it without anybody knowing about it. By the time we do find out about it, it'll be too late. It'll already have evolved. So already that phrase right there should raise some red flags for you. It does for me. I mean, these are our elected leaders that are attending secret meetings. And then when you got quotes of evolution by stealth, well, I thought democracy was a little bit of transparency more than stealth. I'd like to know what my elected leaders are doing, and rather than go behind closed doors. And another huge piece of information Judicial Watch was able to uncover relates to how the Bilderberg Group was going to fund their operation, their agenda. And this was through exploiting the fear of the public, which is global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it. They were planning to exploit that by saying, hey, we're going to issue in a carbon tax, and it's not going to tax the elite, it's not going to tax the rich, it's going to tax the average citizen for using carbon to combat this climate crisis, whatever you want to call it. That tax money would be siphoned off and end up in the pockets of people like George Soros, and that would fund their operation. Simple as that. But don't just take my word for it. Here's the direct quote from the meeting itself. Quote, when economy is strong, public interest is strong in environmental issues. However, when weak, people are willing to make trade-offs. There is significant interest, however, in climate change, and this would be an issue ripe for a North American integrated approach. As we can see from that quote, it did not sound sincere at all towards climate change, climate crisis, whatever you want to call it, and clearly there's another motive at play. And I'd like to just quickly remind my audience that look at the France riots, the yellow vest protesters. Macron, he issued a carbon tax. The tax did not hurt the rich. The tax did not even affect the rich, but the tax did affect your average everyday citizen. And that is part of the reason why it sparked the yellow vest protest movement, because all that tax money was just going to high elites of the government, people who wanted to continue the EU. Long story short, the funds of the people through taxes were just going back into the pockets of the rich. So this idea of playing off the public's fears through a carbon tax is nothing new. It's already been tried in places around the world. Will it happen in the United States? Who knows? But as we can see right here, there is a reason why some leaders have been pressing for a carbon tax. Possibly they are attendees of the Bilderberg meetings. We don't know, do we? So there you have it. There's a quick little summary on the Bilderberg Group and the contents of the meetings. If you want more information, please feel free. You can check out the article. There's more history and details there. As well as I've also provided a movie. It's called Endgame: Blueprint to Global Human Enslavement, I believe. And it's also in the article. It's 2 hours long. Talks everything in depth about what I just stated and a whole lot more. So enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next podcast. Thanks for tuning in to The Bridge.